as a recap, today they've lost. The previous game was a loss against Bournemouth. Before that, a draw against Fulham. They got a draw in the Europa League against Roma. They beat Manchester City in the Premier League, lost against Ipswich, lost against Galatasaray, and were victorious against Aston Villa. Recent run of form, fans were singing after the last game against Bournemouth, and they weren't best pleased with Ange Postecoglou. How much pressure do you think he's under now?
A fair bit from the fans. I'm not sure how much the board will be putting him under pressure. I don't think they sack managers too quickly down there, do they, Gary?
No, I think there'd be some patience with him, yeah.
And he's got a couple of injuries. I just think it's, you know, he said he wins things in his second season, so he's got a lot of work to do to win something with the team. I think the thing with the fans is, because they play this gung-ho, we'll score more than you every game, no matter who they're playing, at times you need to think, hang on a minute, we're playing Chelsea, who are electrifying going forward. Maybe we need to take that into consideration and play a little bit more defensive. And I don't think he has that in his mentality. He sort of goes out a little bit gung-ho, and then when you get beat like they did today, although they've played well today, and two rash penalties have cost them the game. So they're not doing too much wrong. It's just that bit of discipline defensively.
They are in the quarterfinals of the EFL Cup, which is not too long away. You know who they're facing, right?
United, isn't it?
Manchester United. So that should be interesting. Are injuries an excuse, Mikel? Every team goes through injury.
Well, every team goes through injuries. I mean, you can look at the Premier League. Most teams now are suffering with a lot of injuries, obviously. Players complain about too many games, playing too many games, too many tournaments, and players getting injured. There's no doubt about it. There is too many games. But you have to manage it. You have to be able to deal with it. City struggling as well with injuries, and of course Spurs struggling with the injuries. But I think the manager, Ange said it there. I think those two penalties can be avoided. You know, it was just silly mistakes, and I think for me, lazy defending from the players. And when they went 2-0 up, Spurs, sometimes when you're playing against a team like Chelsea, you know they're so good going forward. You've gone 2-0 up so early. Just try to control the game a little bit. There was no one there that will say, okay, let's all sit in a bit and just close the game down a bit. No, they kept on going back and forth. And these are the games that you look back at it, you think we should have at least tried to control the game a little bit more. They didn't do that, and of course they paid massively for it.
Yeah. It's about managing the game in certain periods. Yeah. And I don't think Spurs are good at managing games. You know, they have pretty much one thing in their mind, which is to get forward, to score goals. And they've scored a lot of goals this season. You know, before today's game, they'd scored 28 goals. You know, before today's game, Chelsea had scored 31, and they're top goal scorers in the Premier League. So, you know, Spurs have scored a lot of goals, but it's the defensive aspect. Are injuries an excuse? No, they're not an excuse. You can't use injuries for giving away 2 penalties. Today, for example. If Spurs don't give away those 2 penalties, there's an argument they've won the game. So that's nothing to do with injuries. They do have a lot. Vicario, the goalkeeper's out, although Forster did well today. Davis, defender, out. Romero out. Van der Ven out. OK, they tried to get through today's game. Bentancur's suspended. Richarlison, Odegaard. So they have got a lot of players out, and if you compare that with Chelsea, I think for today's game, they're James, Fofana and Mudryk not available. So there was an imbalance there. But you have to deal with it. It's about having the depth in the squad. It's about having the right mentality. But I think when Spurs just playing so open, I think it makes it too much of a lottery. And how many people win the lottery?
Isn't that stubborn? Isn't that stubborn for the manager? That he is not pragmatic enough at times to switch things around? You mentioned game management, Gary?
Yeah. Well, it comes from the manager, of course it does. He's in charge of that. And he's right, Postecoglou. You know, he's had success at various clubs with playing that style.
But none in England.
No, exactly. But this is the first time in the Premier League. Yeah, I think we're all of the mind that the Premier League is another league.
Yeah, it is another level, isn't it?
As well. He actually called it. Tottenham went 2-0 up, but he went, this could end up 4-2 to Chelsea.
Yeah,
I did say that.
Yeah.
It's my fault then.
It's entirely your fault.